Huge crash in the earlier warm-up. We're about to come under orders then. John Reynolds in pole, he's right closest to you. Next up to him is Michael Rutter, Dean Thomas, Kageyama. Will Michael Rutter make the start this time? The answer may be no, because they've struggled still with that HM plant bike. But if I say that, maybe he'll get half a chance. And Kageyama goes straight through the target. One of the Kawasaki. Whoa! Sitting up there in the middle of the turn. And
it's Rutter. It's Rutter.
Rutter shoved right out at Old Hall.
Just when he made a good start, he
and
got
look at that, 17's gone through there. That is Denver. No, it's not. James Ellison, I should say. James Ellison had an absolutely superb ride last time out at Ellison to win the Superbike Cup. Look at him now, third place. Dear me, he's come from third row of the grid. So James Ellison on the Gen 10 Racing Yamaha has come through from the third row of the grid to third place. As we start this race, we're looking at 71 Kageyama being followed by 12 Dean Thomas.
And Reynolds there, he made a good start but then lost a few places, but he's fought back and he's right behind James Ellison. James Ellison, who was fastest in the morning warm-up, so he got his day off to a good start.
Through Oulton chicane now, accelerating up and over the hill up to 135 mile an hour as they drop the other side down towards Knickerbrook chicane now. On the braking, it is Kageyama from Dean Thomas. Dean Thomas had so much to prove. He's been good in qualifying for the last 2 or 3 rounds, but he has such a lot to prove in racing at the moment. And still, James Ellison, well, the record of James Ellison is absolutely huge. He is so well known, more abroad than he is here. James Ellison in third place, still only, what, 22 years old. Mind you, he's got JR at 38 years old, rolling all over him. Well, James Ellison, last year's World Endurance Champion. 2002, the World Supersport Championship, he rode in top 10 finish at Oschersleben. 2001, he was the European Superstock Champion, but Reynolds has gone through on the man I'm talking about. James Ellison has been passed now by Reynolds. Reynolds is on his way out of Dearly, onto the front straight. Up to 140 miles an hour before braking for Old Hall. Then it's up to 82 mile an hour, down towards Cascades, through the gearbox. Cascades corner now, third gear for the Ducati of Dean Thomas.
And look at Michael. Won the first turn and now he's back in 13th position. Yeah, what a shocker, really.
Aaron Slight speaking with us here at the moment and catching up with Michael Rutter. Yeah, he made a slight mistake and got edged out again. They have had trouble trying to start those Hondas off the line, Aaron.
Yeah, and it's just the standard sort of clutches. You know, they bite and then they don't bite, and it looked like that's what it was doing. It was wheeling and it wouldn't get off the line. But then got in there and got tangled up with the Kawasaki, which forced him wide. And out on those rivel strips here, it's wet from this morning's rain, and then out further there's sort of some grass creek.
Stuart Easton, well, fellow Scott to Neil Mackenzie is out again. Aaron Slight won't be party to some of the things that's happened to him over the last few weeks, of course, but Stuart Easton is out again. We know not why at the moment. Now, we've got such a lot of talent here in the commentary position at the moment, apart from myself, of course, but Steve Plater has just pointed at the monitor here to say that Sean Emmett is down in 11th place, so thank you very much, Steve. You'll get a chance to speak in a minute, but all the chairs are full.
Yeah, so you got some really good guys back there. You got Rutter and Emmett, and you got Hager and Haslam. They're all fighting over that 10, 11, 12, 13 spot. So some of the other guys have made great starts.
Here comes Reynolds into the braking area. He is. Do you know what? When you watch John Reynolds out on a racetrack, you think to yourself, is he trying? He just never looks like he's going fast anywhere at the moment. He's just got his art to perfection. So there is a Suzuki's 1 and 2. Kageyama leads. John Reynolds now moves up into second place, and who could bet against him with his performance at the moment? Then in third place, Dean Thomas on the Sendo Ducati, and then looking down the road, it's James Ellison still in fourth place. The leading privateer, fourth place on that Yamaha, the R1 Yamaha. Rob McElby scurrying down pit lane to sign him soon.
Oh yeah, doing a good job in the Yamaha. We get Gary Mason's not that far away. Gary Mason having his best qualifying so far this season, or Yamaha having their best qualifying this season.
Privateer Yamaha versus Full Works Yamaha. That's an interesting scenario there. 17 is the Gen 10 Yamaha of Dean Ellison, followed by Gary Mason on the Full Works R1 Yamaha of Gary Mason.
James Ellison there in fourth position. But yeah, like I say, he's had a good European career. He was actually signed by Kawasaki for Supersport World Championship, and that didn't really work out. Then he had to sort of take a step back, but now he's back and just showing just how much talent he's got, and by far the best performance from any privateer so far this season.
You can see the Kawasaki's looming there. Look like Scott Smart. Hager. What's Hager up to? He's gone all agricultural as well, gone for a little bit of a ride out in the grass. Doesn't look like he came down, just looks like he's taking a bit of a detour there for the moment. I can't see any broken bits. So Noriyuki Haga on the Highland Spring Renegade Ducati is out of the race, it would seem, at the moment. They really haven't enjoyed their trip to Oulton Park and their one-off British Superbike ride, having come back from the World Superbike for the day. Meanwhile, It's poetry in motion for Paul Denning at Crescent Suzuki, isn't it? Because the two Rizzler boys are just...
Well, JR knows
JR
is strong down the inside there into the Lodge, but maybe not the place to attempt to barge your teammate out of the way. He needs at least to be a bit closer.
Well, at Snetterton they were both at each other, weren't they? JR had to give best to Yukio in one particular set of circumstances, and looks like JR now is lining himself up to the shoulder of Yukio Kageyama as they drop down Cascades through the right-hander, then onto the left-hander of Cascades. 80 odd mile an hour in the middle of that turn, accelerating up through fourth, fifth gear to 145 odd mile an hour at this particular point, and then the awesome Island Bend, 110 mile an hour in the middle of that turn. And Steve Plater knows that corner very, very well, because that's where he dumped it yesterday.
John Reynolds certainly looking comfortable. Last year when JR and Kageyama were racing around here, Kageyama was actually better out than New Hislop chicane. That's after this, not the chicane, but the next one. But JR is looking very comfortable. He came on the back of Yukio Kageyama within a few laps and doing it really easily.
And the lap time, his last lap was faster than everybody on the track, so he's doing comfortable really, and he's really taking advantage of that dirty spot on the track. He seems really, really capable there, and he's gone up the inside and passed two guys at the spot, so it means he must have made a really good job of cleaning it up.
I've got to ask you, Neil, looking back to Snetterton a week ago, Yukio Kageyama by far and away had the faster motorcycle down the Revit Straight. What was that? Why was that? And have they addressed it as far as JR's machine is concerned for this week?
It certainly looks like they have, but that was mostly a gearing thing. Coming on to back straight there, Yukio Kageyama was able to pull shorter gearing, which actually gave him more power at the end of the straight. JR had geared his bike for slipstreaming, but JR, as Aaron said, really comfortable into Lodge.
Yeah, very comfortable indeed. Down Deer's Leap then, and I have to say after his pole time, it looks very much to me like JR can do exactly what he wants to do with this racetrack anytime he wants to do it. So Yukio Kageyama goes back to second place. That's no shame at all as far as I'm concerned, with the way that guy is still pretty well beaten up. Apparently he goes back to Japan as well for the remainder of his operations, the final operation after that big crash at Cadwell Park last year. Yukio will go back with Kianari. They're both flying out tomorrow back to Japan for surgery.
Yeah, it's the final piece of the jigsaw as far as Kageyama's recovery is concerned, and I spoke to him this morning. I asked him how his condition was, and he says, I'm really tired, I'm aching, I'm tired, I need to get back to Japan and get fixed up and have a 3-week break before Mandela, where he was also strong last year, but he just wants to get through today in one piece, and a couple of Russians would just do nicely. Okay, let's take a look at the top 10 then. We're looking at Reynolds and Kageyama. They're your first two at the moment. Dean Thomas is in the third place on the Sendo Ducati. Gary Mason has now moved up into fourth place on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. Then it's James Ellison, the youngster that's riding for Gentin Racing on his R1 Yamaha. He is the best of the privateers by about 10 places, and he has behind him the Works Kawasaki of Scott Smart, the Works Kawasaki of Glenn Richards, the Works Honda of Michael Rutter, Tommy Hill on the 2004 R1 Works motorcycle as well, Leon Haslam on the Renegade Ducati, Sean Emmett back in 11th place on his Ducati, the Monster Mob Ducati, Craig Coxall on another, that's the V-Trans Honda, and then Kieran Clark on another Works Yamaha back in 13th place. So James Ellison, it's John Kirkham in 14th before the next Superbike Cup rider comes into view as far as the privateer is concerned. So James Ellison riding out of his socks here at Oulton Park. And these two guys in the Rizzler Suzukis, I think, riding out their socks as well, because John Reynolds knows Kageyama's still well within a shout of winning the British Superbike Championship, and it's far from over, and there's certainly no team orders. Both these guys want to beat each other, and we know Kageyama's performance at Snetterton, and he's capable of pushing JR to the limit and beating him.
A bit of a battle developing here, Aaron, for fourth place, it would seem. Gary Mason is the mover and shaker. He's on 6. 17 is the Gentin Racing bike of James Ellison. Now Michael Rutter getting into his stride there in front of the Kawasaki. So Michael Rutter on the HM plant bike. Not only did he just about get it off the line acceptably, here he comes, Rutter down at Cascades. No, he's not.
But see, Michael's times, his lap times are a second off the front guy, just because he's got to mix it with all these guys. So the start is everything, and he's finding that out now, and he'll easily get up to third, fourth or third. But he's going to struggle to get through the traffic, and the Rizzler Suzuki is going to be gone by then.
James Ellison, the man in front of him on bike 17, is riding his socks off round here at Oulton Park at the moment. This is a great little battle for fourth place, isn't it? The minute it is Gary Mason that holds on to it, but you've got to say that the Michael Rutter on the HM Plant Honda's looking pretty fast. He comes up the inside as we drop down to the Knickerbrook chicane. Rutter then gets under James Ellison. Ellison gave him a polite bit of room, but it only was a bit of room. And now blasting their way over Black Hill.
And this is probably a great track for Ellison. You know, a standard bike around here, you don't actually need ultimate horsepower. This track's all about the line, being on the right line and having the bike handle right. And so an extra 10 horsepower, 20 horsepower other bikes have, you don't actually notice it so much.
Could actually be a disadvantage, more horsepower here. It really is a rider's track. You have to be smooth, you have to have rhythm, and there's only really one fast line around here, and that's why it's been so difficult for Michael Rutter to make any impression on James Ellison.
Well, you've got to say it's a disaster for Michael Rutter. He's in second place in the championship at the moment on 117 points. JR, though, has 10 points more at 127. Rutter really needs to start banging in some wins at the moment. And Honda, I can't imagine them being too happy with this particular scenario either.
And just looking at the lap times here, like Rutter's like 1.6 seconds or something off the pace, you know, just because he's in traffic trying to get through it, and he should be able to do, you know, a lot faster lap times than that.
That's another one of Noriyuki Haga, I think, that's back in pit lane and maybe last under our commentary position. But Rutter is through now on Gary Mason, so Rutter has gone past Gary Mason. Rutter is well and truly on his way, but I think Neil's already hit the nail well and truly on the head. We've got a reduced lappage, of course, a reduced distance on this race because of the incident before the start of the race. So instead of 18 laps, there's only 16 laps. And Michael Rutter has given such a head start to JR and Yukio Kageyama, you just can't imagine how he's going to close in on him. He's still got to catch Dean Thomas yet, who's in third place on the Sendo Ducati, who's having a pretty good ride. Let's have a look at these times at the moment. John Reynolds, 1:37.9 his last lap round. There's nobody in the 37s except Reynolds on this last lap.
Reynolds doing a good job at the front and obviously in control. Kageyama in the 38s, albeit the low 38s, but not making any impression on JR. Michael Rutter's so unlucky. He appeared to make a good start off the line, got into turn one good in second or third position, but I think it was Scott Smart that had a moment in the inside of turn one, the inside of Old Hall, and moved out. Unfortunately, Michael Rutter was pushed out onto the grass, and that's what cost him the time.
And Michael's last lap time of 39.5 is no indication of the speed of him or the bike, and you know, probably the lap after this he'll be down to low 38s, I'm sure, and closing up on the third guy, Dean. So yeah, he'll be pushing hard, but yeah, it's, like I said, it's 2 laps off this race, and I don't think you're going to get near the Rizzlers.
He's got great style, Michael Rutter. I could watch him all day. Noriyuki Haga, incidentally, was black flagged, so that's why we saw Noriyuki Haga back in. So obviously there is a major problem there as far as he's concerned. He retired into the box, but it looks like he went back out again. So Haga's having a really eventful first ever British Superbike race for himself. So Haga, don't know whether he'll be happy to come back again. There it is, Reynolds, Kageyama, Thomas. They're your top 3. And then we're followed by that man there in 4th place, Michael Rutter from Gary Mason, who he's just passed. Scott Smart has moved up now in front of Leon Haslam in 7th place. So Scott Smart also on the Kawasaki, moving and shaking. James Ellison slipping down the order to 8th place now. The best of the privateers is James Ellison, as he was last round. Reynolds 1:37.9. Yukio having a look.
And that's very surprising. I thought Yukio would just sit there actually and just follow him around, but he looked like he was really having to go there. He was beside him, and John just braked out just as late and sneaked back in front.
He just looks to me like he's got a motorcycle that really does move. I don't know what Yukio Kageyama and his side of the team. I asked Gareth earlier on today what they've been doing with Yukio's bike. We were in the bathroom at the time, and he just wouldn't tell me. He just would not tell me what the differences were and why Yukio's bike seemed to be that much better. Neil, I know you've said gearing, but I don't know, that looked more than gearing to me at Snetterton.
Well, that was the official line from the team. JR has hardly touched his bike from Snetterton. He tried a harder string early on, found it too stiff. You can see he's got a bit of an advantage there up Deers Leap, but JR had a few clicks in the suspension is really all that's changed from Snetterton. Kageyama has changed his bike a little bit more than JR has and appeared to be making progress, but he's lost a little bit of time there. This section of the racetrack is JR's strongest. It's really from the Folkestone chicane through the Hislop chicane where Kageyama makes the time back.
And as you were saying, that Deers Leap place there, if you're not a local, it's really hard there, and I think you do make a lot of time. And as you said, John just got out Deers Leap and was straighter down the straight and makes, you know, a few tenths.
This is again where Kageyama, I mean, he looks so good in this run through Island Bend onto Shell. We're at Shell Corner now. Now let's take a look at some of the times. 3.8 seconds it goes back from Kageyama in 2nd place here to Dean Thomas in 3rd place, and then it's a further 5.5 seconds back to Michael Rutter, who's moved up into 4th place in front of Gary Mason, Scott Smart and Leon Haslam. So there's a lot of distance for Rutter to make up, my point being. He's got 5.5 seconds deficit on Dean Thomas. He's really got to dig deep and work hard, hasn't he, Neil?
I don't think that's impossible. I think he could catch Dean Thomas, but the Rizzler Suzukis are really out of the picture at the moment as far as Rutter's concerned. A rostrum position would be a good recovery after what's happened. he just needs to keep his head down. He's got a clear track, and we know he's good at lapping fast on a clear track, doing consistent lap time. So just keep our eye on his lap time and see what he can do.
Well, he's a second a lap quicker than Dean on that last one. So Dean Thomas, the Australian on the Sendo Ducati, will definitely have the attentions of Michael Rutter to contend with later in this race if he carries on being caught at that rate, because we're on lap 9 of 16. There's just about enough time for him to do it. He's still got to make a pass. So, still it is John Reynolds on the Rizla Suzuki, leading his teammate Yukio Kageyama in second place. And Yukio, 1:37.6. They just get quicker and quicker, these blokes. They don't leave it alone, do they? 1:36.6 was JR's pole time, and already, you know, Kageyama is a second off of that, but that was with sticky qualifying tyres, remember.
What Kageyama's good at is following and looking and learning. That's exactly what he's doing with JR. You can see where John's faster than him. Just coming up Deersley onto start-finish straight, you can see JR's a lot smoother. His gear changing or his gear pattern works better, and Kageyama's bike's jumping around a bit more, and JR pulls out a little bit of time. Yukio might not be able to do anything about that, but he will be able to nip a bit of time here and there, see where JR's lines are, but trying to pass JR will be a different story.
You saw there our positions as far as the last lap is concerned. The timings were regarding their position to the leader, John Reynolds. So if you're wondering what the timings were that were added to those graphics, that was the timings to the leader. It's not relevant to the gaps between the riders, which we have the privilege of looking at here on our monitor. There is Haga back in pit lane. So Noriyuki Haga is out of race 1 today, and he might wonder why he's even here at this moment in time, but no doubt Jonathan will rush along to speak to him later. He's Japanese, I'm told. He's now fluent in.
Well, Haga's team were adamant that he was here to test. They have some local sponsors. It was important that they showed face here at Oulton Park, Manchester-based sponsors, so Haga was coming here to test effectively. But Leon Haslam was a different story. He wants to come here and get a result. You can see Kageyama trying hard, but JR is actually faster than him to make up some of that important time.
Reynolds and Kageyama already over the line. We look to see what the split is from Kageyama back to third place man Dean Thomas. It was 5.8 seconds, so they're extending it. It's now 7.5. Dean Thomas landed. Oh, he's losing time hand over fist because Rutter is only 2.9 seconds behind Dean Thomas now. It was 5.5 just a lap and a half ago. So Dean Thomas is being caught. He's not going to be on the podium at this rate at all. He's going to have to worry about Scott Smart at that rate as well, because Scott Smart has got the better of his Kawasaki after, well, by his standards of this year, not too good a qualifying situation for him.
Damage limitation for Rutter. If they can come away with at least the Russian position in this first race, then the HM Plant Honda team won't be so upset.
Been a lot of damage limitation as far as Honda are concerned this year, with not particularly great starts and various, and really damage limitation can only get away with for so long in the season that one time they're going to have to start beating this Rizla Suzuki bunch, bearing in mind that they're all effectively on road bikes. I mean, again, it's although I have probably, and I'm going to really step on toes here, I know I am, these two are out of the box and developed by Crescent Suzuki with the help of Suzuki Factory. There is Paul Denning, the owner of Crescent Suzuki, in the middle of your picture. They have developed these motorcycles last year from actual road motorcycles, whereas the HM Plant Hondas have come out of a box direct from the factory in Japan, and there are Japanese people all over the place here at the moment keeping an eye on that motorcycle. So I think the pressure in the HM Plant Honda camp is probably a little greater even than it is in the Rizla Suzuki.
The Hondas come out of a box, but they're hand whittled, they're hand crafted at Saitama in Japan. Yeah. They are full HRC factory bikes. They look like the new CBR 1000RR Fireblade, but they are manufacturers and hand built in Japan. They come and test the prototype versions in Spain early in the year, then all the team went back to Japan, built the bike specifically for Rutter and Kageyama, and brought them back to the UK.
Neil Tuxworth, you saw there sitting in the foreground with Tadej Okada, the famous Grand Prix rider, behind him, and that gives you, he's at Honda Racing. Look at that, actually, I cut across myself. Look at that, exactly the same race times between Reynolds and Kageyama, 1:37.7. Matching each other on track and in time as well. I was getting back to Tadej Okada, of course. He is a HRC racing team manager. He's here overseeing the whole of this effort, so no doubt the old facts will be flying this afternoon back to Japan regarding the start here at Oulton Park, although it wasn't as bad as it's been.
JR should be worried because Kageyama is thinking about a move. He's trying so hard to get close, and it's not over yet.
It's not over at all. If Yukio Kageyama gets in front of JR, that will please the man in third place, Michael Rutter, no end, because of course Michael Rutter is the man that's doing well in the points at the moment compared with JR. Won't make any sense at all, Neil. Up over Clay Hill we go. Keep an eye on that Kawasaki. The Kawasaki is chasing hard now. That's Leon Haslam, actually. actually Haslam has moved ahead. So Haslam has moved ahead of Scott Smart. So Leon Haslam, son of Rocket Ron Haslam, having a good ride here. Remember, they're running Pirelli tyres. Remember, they had virtually, well, very, very short track time. Mechanical problems. The motorcycle spent more time apart than it did out on the racetrack. So Pirelli and the race team have had very little time to put the data into that motorcycle, to read the data of that motorcycle. And Leon Haslam, how much experience has Leon Haslam got for one so young? Is there a class he hasn't ridden in, a motorcycle he hasn't ridden on, or a tyre he hasn't used?
Probably not. He has a ton of experience at Grand Prix level. You can see Rutter now right in the back of Dean Thomas, but Haslam doing a brilliant job there on the Pirellis, and just shows you how much the tyres have improved.
But they've actually managed to make it work here in a very, very short space of time. So that's a great effort by Pirelli. In fact, I can't remember a time that in British Championship racing we've had 3 manufacturers of tyres taking a direct factory interest in a British Championship race. Pirelli, Michelin and Dunlop, and I think Michael Rutter had a little look at the Sendo Ducati there. His board will tell him how far in front Kageyama is of this battle, and that's an extra 11 seconds. So really, there's no chance of Michael Rutter catching the Rizla Suzuki's, so he can effectively take his time of making the pass on Dean Thomas, can't he?
I'm sure he's not thinking about taking his time. He needs to get past Dean Thomas on the Northern Ross, and be still tough for him to pass, because Dean Thomas has been the fastest guy. He's had to attack it so far through this race, but that Honda is fast, and he's having a look down into Hislop chicane.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was done on the brakes, because Dean Thomas's motorcycle looked every bit as quick to the Honda to me over the hilltop there as they come into the Knickerbrook chicane. Then up over Clay Hill. Rutter goes third then. Third place for Rutter. Dean Thomas slips back to fourth place. Not going to be quite happy with that.
But looking at the lap times here too, he's back up in the third place, but he's going to have to do something to the bike or to improve himself to keep up with the Rizla Suzuki's in the second race, because it's probably a half a second a lap slower, even in a clear track. So he goes to pass again. It's all under brakes, and both bikes are really, really good under brakes, no chattering or anything like that, and he's through and gone.
Nice little cutback from Dean Thomas there as well. He wasn't going to let it go if he could have found the drive.
His very best.
Yeah, to try and make sure he got the drive out of that chicane. So still it's the Rizla Suzuki's that lead. That's the fourth place man, Dean Thomas, on the Sendo Ducati at the moment, having been passed by the HM Plant Honda of Michael Rutter. But here we go, and I'll tell you what, I asked you this last time round. I know we're at only round 4, and we've got a long way to go, another 17 races after this one in the series, but at what point, Neil, do Rizla Suzuki start issuing team orders? Because they are riding for the same team, they are riding for the same manufacturer. At the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is these two tangling up and giving 25 points to a competitor.
There's no sign of issuing team orders. They were riding really close at Snetterton, and it looked quite dangerous, although I didn't think it was, but Paul Denning says he was concerned in both races that they would make contact. But they're both professional riders. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but Kageyama's hungry for this championship. There will never be team orders.
Oh, JR gets it spinning up. Great cut there. Well, we've got every camera covered here. That was a superb picture of Paul Denning's instant live reaction to what he just saw from JR, and he wasn't thinking of the discount he's going to get on the tyre when he sends it back either. So Yukio Kageyama up on the back wheel now. Fastest lap going to Yukio, 1:37.3. Wow, what a time that is, as they are absolutely at it, hammer and tong, these two. No team orders. I beg to differ with you eventually, Neil Mackenzie, because somebody somewhere will have to calm this down if they're going to be at it hammer and tong all year long. Still it is JR that's out front of the bent and battered Japanese rider Yukio Kageyama. Both of them are bent on winning this race though, aren't they, really? We're on lap 15 to 16, it's just a lap and a half to go.
John Reynolds knows what he's dealing with here, and he's dealing with one special rider at the back there, one determined rider. After what he did at Snetterton, he knows that Kageyama's capable of anything.
If you just switched on, this is round 4 of the Think British Superbike Championship from Oulton Park. With me in the commentary box are Neil Mackenzie and a special guest, 14 times World Superbike winner, Aaron Slight. Aaron, I'm going to put you right on the spot now with a lap and a quarter to go. Who's going to do what out of these two and where?
Well, Yukio's all over him, I think, but around here it's really, really hard to pass, and John's using the safe line for the last corner, so it's going to be really, really tough, but I think John will have it.
John will have it. Neil?
I think you're going to see a couple of fast laps for JR. You see him getting sideways there, that's because he's trying to dig in, trying to put some fast laps together. He knows he needs to try and break Kageyama, or he's going to try and come alongside him.
Okay, absolutely hate towing the line, so I'm going to go with Yukio. Come on, Yukio, get it sideways, up Clay Hill again. John Reynolds under a ton of pressure now, but he won't crack from that, that's for sure. The Nottinghamshire rider, absolutely great at the front of a pack, but you've got to say that Yukio Kageyama, if body language had anything to do with it, John Reynolds will be running for cover. Up again, out of the seat, Yukio Kageyama chases JR down towards Lodge. This is where all the slippery stuff was on the track after that incident before this race started. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, if you've only just joined us a little bit later on.
JR was defensive there. JR was defensive into Lodge.
You would be, wouldn't you? Well, he's got to be a little bit later on, but JR does have a bit of a tighter line down into Lodge anyway. He seems to be happier up the inside than anywhere else, and that's the place to be. We're on the last lap. This is the charge. Yukio gets a run onto the avenue, down towards Cascades. The litter is rushing across the track. It's a little bit windy here. Well, I am anyway. So down Cascades, blasting now up to 135 mile an hour, up towards the 110 mile an hour. Left hand right, here comes Yukio. No, not this time round. Must have been a bit of a camera angle for me. Down towards Shell, this is where Yukio Kageyama looks so good here, but no, again, JR looking like he's keeping it tight, Neil.
He is riding defensively, but I reckon you could still see the fastest lap in the last lap here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Yukio's all over him, isn't he? But the track here is just so hard to pass, all these chicanes and things, and he's on it.
Well, this is where it counts. Out of Oulton then. Now it's getting the drive up and over hilltop, and Yukio Kageyama gets great drive. He might have been a little bit too close to JR when they came out of Oulton chicane there, because he just had to nail it back a little bit, I think. But Yukio's looking at the inside line, and he goes through on JR. Yukio Kageyama has taken the lead on the last lap of the opening race here at Oulton Park. John Reynolds goes back. Oh, dear me, I'm out of my seat as Yukio Kageyama spins it up sideways over Clay Hill. Druid's next is a double right-hander. Can Kageyama hold on to it? Then we come down to Lodge Corner. Up the inside of Druid's, I doubt it. JR can't possibly do it there. Double right-hander now. Down towards the braking area of Lodge Corner. JR's been brilliant on the brakes. Kageyama, will he ride defensively? He's going to have to. But no, JR is going to be second. Yukio pulls it down into Lodge Corner, into Deer's Leap. Yukio Kageyama times his win to perfection. Yukio Kageyama, to the applause of the crowd. Nick Barnes in the middle of your picture there. He is commercial manager of, maybe director, I hope I didn't do him an injustice, of Suzuki. What a race that was between these two Risen Suzuki men. Well, it would hardly matter if there was anybody else out on the racetrack, because these two in the same team riding the same machines have given us a race to remember there in the closing lap. So Yukio Kageyama takes the win. So there it is, Yukio Kageyama confirmed now as the winner here in race one. John Reynolds second to him. Michael Rutter goes up onto the podium in third place. Dean Thomas slipping down to fourth. Scott Smart on the Kawasaki. A good solid ride from him and his teammate Glenn Richards in fifth and sixth. Gary Mason on seventh, the best of the Yamahas. And Sean Emmett on the championship winning team Monster Mob Ducati back there in eighth place. Tommy Hill on the Yamaha, the R6 Cup graduate. James Ellison in 10th place on the Yamaha, the best of the privateers. So James Ellison, another great ride from him. That's 3 out of 3 for him so far at this moment. Craig Coxall on the Honda. Remember, he had a big crash yesterday in qualifying. Dennis Hobbs, the second of the privateers. Sam Cork, the third of the privateers. Although in the main points as far as the championship is concerned, because they go down to 15. Remember, there is a championship within a championship. This is the main one. It is the Think British Superbike 2004 Championship. John Reynolds on 147 points. Michael Rutter on 133. Yukio Kageyama moves up then in front of Sean Emmett, and he is in third place now. Emmett, Smart, Kianari, who's not here, he's got a broken collarbone. Dean Thomas